Instead of alienating ourselves from the world, I want America once again to lead. As president, I intend to pursue a tough, smart, and principled national security strategy, one that recognizes that we have interests beyond Baghdad, in Kandahar, in Karachi, in Tokyo, in London, in Beijing, and Berlin. I will focus this strategy on 5 goals essential to making America safer: ending the war in Iraq responsibly, finishing the fight against al-Qaeda and the Taliban, securing all nuclear weapons and materials from terrorists and rogue states, achieving true energy security, and rebuilding our alliances to meet the challenges of the 21st century. It has been 18 months since President Bush announced the surge. As I've said many times, our troops have performed brilliantly in lowering the level of violence. General Petraeus has used new tactics to protect the Iraqi population. We have talked directly to Sunni tribes that used to be hostile to America and supported their fight against al-Qaeda. Shia militias have generally respected a ceasefire. Those are the facts, and all Americans welcome them. In the 18 months since the surge began, as I warned at the outset, Iraq's leaders have not made the political progress that was the purpose of the surge. They have not invested tens of billions of dollars in oil revenues to rebuild their country. They have not resolved their differences or shaped a new political compact. That is why I strongly stand by my plan to end this war. George Bush and John McCain don't have a strategy for success in Iraq. They have a strategy for staying in Iraq. They say we couldn't leave when violence was up, and they now say that we can't leave when violence is down. They refuse to press the Iraqis to make tough choices, and they label any timetable to redeploy our troops surrender, even though we would be turning Iraq over to a sovereign Iraqi government, not to a terrorist enemy. Theirs is an endless focus on tactics inside Iraq, with no consideration of our strategy to face threats beyond Iraq's borders. I will give our military a new mission on my first day in office: ending this war. Let me be clear. We must be as careful getting out of Iraq as we were careless getting in. We can safely redeploy our combat brigades at a pace that would remove them in 16 months. Now, both America and Iraq will be more secure when the terrorists in Anbar is being taken out by the Iraqi army, and the criminal in Baghdad fears Iraqi police, not just coalition forces. I want Iraqis to take responsibility for their own future and to reach the political accommodation necessary for long-term stability. That is victory. That is success. That is what is best for Iraq. That is what is best for America. And that's why I will end this war as president. In fact, as should have been apparent to President Bush and Senator McCain, the central front in the war on terror is not Iraq, and it never was. And that's why the second goal of my new strategy will be taking the fight to al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan. The greatest threat to that security lies in the tribal regions of Pakistan, where terrorists train and insurgents strike into Afghanistan. We cannot tolerate a terrorist sanctuary, and as president, I will not. We need a stronger and sustained partnership between Afghanistan, Pakistan, and NATO to secure the border, to take out terrorist camps, and to crack down on cross-border insurgents. We need more troops, more helicopters, more satellites, more Predator drones in the Afghan border region. And we must make it clear that if Pakistan cannot or will not act, we will take out high-level terrorist targets like bin Laden if we have them in our sights. Now, only a strong Pakistani democracy can help us move toward my third goal, and that is securing all nuclear weapons and materials from terrorists and rogue states. One of the terrible ironies of the Iraq War is that President Bush used the threat of nuclear terrorism to invade a country that had no active nuclear program. But the fact that the President misled us into a misguided war doesn't diminish the threat of a terrorist with a weapon of mass destruction. In fact, it has only increased it. I will lead a global effort to secure all loose nuclear materials around the world during my first term as President. Beyond taking these immediate urgent steps, it's time to send a clear message. America seeks a world with no nuclear weapons. As long as nuclear weapons exist, we must retain a strong deterrent. And I will never waver from that commitment. But instead of threatening to kick them out of the G8, we need to work with Russia to take U.S. and Russian ballistic missiles off hair-trigger alert, to dramatically reduce the stockpiles of our nuclear weapons and material, to seek a global ban on the production of fissile material for weapons. We cannot tolerate nuclear weapons in the hands of nations that support terror. We helped create the United Nations, not to constrain America's influence, but to amplify it by advancing our values. Now is the time for a new era of international cooperation. It's time for America and Europe to renew our common commitment to face down the threats of the 21st century, just as we did the challenges of the 20th. It's time to strengthen our partnerships with Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the world's largest democracy, India, to create a stable and prosperous Asia. That's why I will double our foreign assistance to $50 billion by 2012 and use it to support a stable future in failing states and sustainable growth in Africa, to halve global poverty, and to roll back disease. To send once more a message to those yearning faces beyond our shores that says, you matter to us, your future is our future, and our moment is now.